cabin crew be ready for departure.
Good morning expats and international students. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about traveling abroad in 2020. I recently took a trip from Italy to India and now I'm returning back from Bhopal in India to Milano in Italy using the Vande Bharat Mission flight. If you are an international student or expat and you're planning a trip abroad in the coming weeks, continue watching this video to discover all the formalities required for traveling overseas from India in 2020-21. So let's start this trip from the Bhopal International Airport. Leg 1 of this journey from Bhopal to Milan. So I am on the way to the Bhopal International Airport to catch my first flight to Delhi with IndiGo Airlines, and the beautiful view that you can see behind me is the big lake in Bhopal, which is one of the most famous attractions over here. So I just collected my boarding card with this IndiGo Airlines flight from Bhopal to New Delhi, which is basically the first leg of my trip from Bhopal in India to Milano in Italy, which is where I live. And this first flight is with IndiGo. Well, the only bump, let's say, along the way was to pay the extra cash to accommodate the a lot of luggage that I'm taking with me, and I paid like 3,500 rupees for 7 kgs of extra baggage. It happens, part of the deal. But so far the trip has been smooth and seamless. So let's see what are the adventures that are awaiting me ahead in New Delhi for the main flight, the international leg from Delhi to Rome. And behind me you can see, of course, the people queuing up, some of them wearing the PPE kits, especially those who are going to sit in the middle seats, because it's compulsory in IndiGo, very important for our safety and of course to maintain the hygiene and sanitization measures on board. And so far I'm feeling quite safe and relaxed. Of course the real adventure is going to begin in New Delhi. तो हेलो सर, आपका क्या नाम है?
मेरा नाम है रिंटू प्रमन।
अच्छा, और आप कितने सालों से काम कर रहे हैं यहाँ?
मैं टोटल 4 ईयर्स, 3 में 3 ईयर्स एंड 82 में 5 to 6
ईयर्स। ओके। तो आपको अभी क्या चेंजेस नज़र आ रहे हैं कोविड-19 के बाद?
अभी चेंजेस तो अभी आ रहा है, बट चेंजेस कुछ नहीं है।
अच्छा।
बट जो आ रहा है, जैसे आ रहा था अभी वैसे ही आ रहा है, बट जो उधर थर्मल स्क्रीनिंग हो रहा है,
जी हाँ,
और वगैरह वगैरह।
और आपके काम पे कैसे फ़र्क पड़ा है?
काम पे फ़र्क तो पड़ा है
जी,
थोड़ा बहुत।
जी हाँ,
पहले 2-3 महीना घर में बैठे थे।
जी हाँ, जी हाँ।
तो उसके बाद ओपन होने के बाद अभी
फिर से चालू किया है। ओके, ठीक है। थैंक यू वेरी मच हमारे व्यूअर्स से बात करने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच। So after landing in New Delhi with the IndiGo flight from Bhopal, which arrived at Terminal 2, which is usually the domestic flights terminal here at the Delhi airport, I took a walk and then entered Terminal 3 and did all the formalities to check in, of course, pass through immigration and security clearance as well. In addition to this, the additional formality, in addition to the usual formalities that you have when you travel abroad, the only additional formality to undertake was to fill up an indemnity and self-declaration form that Air India provided, which basically asked for a declaration regarding your health condition and that you declare to travel on your own risk, which I filled out. And the authorities, the two gentlemen dealing with the whole procedure, were extremely kind and cooperative. I could not shoot, of course, the video footage over there because for security reasons it is not allowed, but it was a simple form that I had to fill with my details like passport and flight number, etc., and sign, of course, the declaration itself. So it was very easy, much easier as compared to the last trip that I did from Italy to India. And for those of you who haven't watched that video, I highly recommend you to watch that as well, because that leg was much more cumbersome than this. Also, all the pre-work that was involved in it before arriving in India. And now I am here after clearing the security at the T3 International Terminal in New Delhi, and heading over now to have lunch while I wait for the boarding to start for my flight to Rome. So after immigration and security clearance, I decided to have lunch, and with a lot of excitement, I came inside, passing through the duty free, which is fully opened and functional. And then I discovered that the big food court area that they have on the first floor in the international terminal of the Delhi airport is completely closed. Never mind. So the only two options available were Starbucks and another cafe, and they had some ready-to-go foods. Of course, the good thing is that Starbucks has very nice coffee, so I could at least get a nice double shot of espresso, which I desperately needed, because as you can see my zombie face, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. today to catch the 9 a.m. flight from Bhopal to Delhi. And on the day when I have an early morning flight, I am in the zombie mode, as I call it, and the day before I am in the pre-zombie mode. So on these 2 days, people who know me know that they don't have to mess around with me. But coming back to the topic of food, so if you were expecting, like in the pre-COVID era, to get done with all your formalities before get sitting down to have a nice lunch or dinner at the food court here in Delhi, unfortunately those dreams are shattered. Now perhaps you have to eat in advance before your flight, or carry something from home, or settle with something ready to go at Starbucks like me. So finally on board this flight on the Vande Bharat Mission from New Delhi to Rome, which departed from New Delhi at 3:30 p.m. local time and is expected to arrive in Rome at 19:20 in the evening. And I'm going to have my onward flight to Milan from Rome itself, from the same Leonardo da Vinci Fiumicino airport. And in the last video, in response to the last video which I shot about the trip from Italy to India, several people asked me some questions about how did I book the flights, what did I pay, and so on. So I decided to shoot a small info monologue on the flight itself. And I basically booked this return trip very last minute, and initially I was looking for some options with Air France and Lufthansa, because France and Germany had already established the air bubbles with India, using which even I could fly even when residing in Italy, because it's all part of the Schengen area. But unfortunately, the options with Air France and Lufthansa were not that convenient, given that I had to fly from Milan. And therefore, I was looking at several options, and fortunately, this particular return trip, which means flying on 5th of November and return on 25th of November, was perfectly fitting my planned itinerary. And I booked it online, and I booked it, I think, really in 2 days right after the bookings were opened and the announcement was made on the Indian consulate's website. And at that time, places were available. The ticket costed, of course, a lot, so it was way more expensive than a usual trip. Usually a standard trip to India costs between 400 to 700 euros, but this flight set me up a good 1100 euros. So it was quite expensive, but was worth it, given the fact that it was directly from Italy, which was perfect for me. And I had to take care of a family emergency, and therefore these dates were perfect for me. So I took it online. But I can tell you that if you do find an option on the Vande Bharat mission, which is good for you, book it as soon as possible, because often the number of flights are limited, and they get full quite soon. So in fact, a couple of days later, after I made the booking, I did I was just browsing through the Air India website, and in fact there were no places available. So I was lucky to get a place in a way. And so far the trip has been very nice. The service is perfect. They are maintaining all the hygiene and sanitary measures on board, and the food packets, for example, are also served not through service like it happens in usual flights, but they are already placed on your seats in packed boxes, and most of the food is dry, so you can eat it whenever you want. And of course that reduces the exposure that you have to other people when they're without their masks and eating. So that's a good approach, actually. And so here I am on board. It has been about 3 hours since we took off, and another 5 hours are to go. So well, I am here enjoying this flight. This is not as full as the flight that I took from Rome to New Delhi, but this one is, let's say, mildly crowded, so feels even more safe. And hopefully we will meet now in Rome soon. We were given a self-declaration form which we had to fill out on board, which asked for our contact details in India and in Italy, and the reason for traveling to Italy. The deplaning was done sequentially, unlike in the pre-COVID times, of course to maintain social distancing, and the whole process was supervised by designated authorities from the airport. So for those of you who have the habit of jumping out of your seat the moment the plane lands, patience will be your keyword in 2020. So I finally landed in Rome, and now already heading to my next connecting flight to Milano Linate, which is the last leg of this journey. So far it has been good, and I filled a lot of declarations, collected my baggage, passed immigration, but so far so good.
We could be ready for departure.
Signore e signori, Alitalia partner discreti, immediata di darvi il benvenuto a Milano.
So finally I landed at my final destination, which is Milano Linate, which is where this trip began from, and my flight from Rome, the Alitalia flight from Rome Fiumicino airport, just landed. I've collected my baggage. Here there were no major formalities to undertake because it was a domestic flight, a domestic connection between Rome and Milan. And with this 20-day trip from Italy to India and back is over. Of course, after undertaking hundreds of different formalities and passing through many different checks, and now I am here. Since I arrived from a country listed in category E, I took a taxi to get home from the airport, as it was mandatory to travel only by private means of transport. And the formalities did not end there. After reaching home, I had to fill out another form online to inform the local health authorities on the ATS website, the link to which you can see in the video description. I hope this video gave some useful insights on what to expect when traveling abroad this year, and if you liked watching it, do give a thumbs up, hit the bell icon, and do subscribe to my channel for more informative content like this.